Welcome back. I think I have an interesting one for you today. When they dug the hole for the foundation of my house, they ran into 3 or 4 springs. They were all about 5 feet down. The odd part about this is I have owned this piece of property for approximately 5 years, and at no time has there ever been any surface water, any evidence that there would have been any kind of spring activity in these areas. So it really caught me off guard. If anything, it was in an area that didn't have any water accumulation ever. So a little bit interesting. I'll include a short video that shows one of the springs now. So naturally, I was slightly concerned about this. I did have pumps cleaning out the hole quite a bit before they got the foundation put in there. It was springtime, so I thought it was possible that these were seasonal springs. But these have been pretty consistent producers since the hole was dug in January or February. Anyways, so after they poured the foundation, before they backfilled, I put in an external sump pump at the recommendation of the soil scientist who designed the septic system for my house. So before they backfilled around the house, I sunk a 2-foot corrugated culvert pipe into the ground vertically. It went 10 foot down. That got me about 18 inches below the footer. And then I ran 4-inch tile along the south edge of the house and along the west edge of the house, and this reached both the places where I did have the most spring activity. After things were backfilled, while it does move water quite a bit, I was still seeing a small amount of water coming up through the floor in the corners of the basement, near where the greatest spring activity was. So while things are still in the rough condition that they are now, I wanted to go ahead and sink a couple more of these, just to make sure that I didn't have any issues in the future with water being in the basement. There is a sump pump in the corner of the basement, but the goal from my perspective is to keep the water out of the basement in the first place. So I had a backhoe anyways yesterday for some other things that I had to get done, and I went ahead and dug a couple holes, got my culverts in the ground. I didn't video any of the excavation with the backhoe. I only had it rented for a day, so I was focused on getting as much done as I could. I didn't want to waste any time with the camera, but I'll pick up from there and show you what happened. So here's one that I haven't started backfilling yet. I got to go grab a couple bags of Quikrete out of the back of my truck, and I'll spread those around the base of this real quick. You can see, I hope it shows up on the video, you can see the water trickling down there. The springs out here are ridiculous, so I need to get that concrete in there so it can start setting, and then I'll start backfilling with the gravel around that. I got a whole dump truck load of gravel, so I'll be splitting that evenly between this tube and the other one, and then I'll backfill with the dirt after that. So there it is with 3 bags of concrete around the base. I'm going to start putting the gravel around it too. I don't want to leave this hole open any more than I need to, because you can see the longer it stays open, the more kind of this stuff caves in. So I want to get as much gravel around that thing before that dirt caves in around it as I can. I did save 1 bag of Quikrete, and what I'll do with that is once both of these are backfilled completely, I'll drop a pump down both of them, pump them out, and then probably drop a half bag down each one of these to get a clean flat place for the pump to sit on. I was able to get a part of a concrete slab that I tore out underneath that one, and that worked well. This one, I just didn't have time. I only had the backhoe for 24 hours, and I think I might have slept 6 hours. So other than that, I was running that thing or going to get stuff to run it. Yeah, let me go get on the tractor and I will get some gravel in these. Backfilling these with washed stone. I think this came from Indiana, so they call it number 11s, I believe. I think in Ohio it might be called number 9s, I'm not sure. But wanted to make sure I had washed stone and not kind of the chips and dust that you would use on your driveway. The idea is you want water to flow through this, so the less kind of particulate that goes with that water, the better. Here's one that I've started backfilling. There's a couple bags of Quikrete around the bottom. I think I just got 2 or 3 buckets of gravel around there. I climbed down in there and spread it around the back because I won't be able to get that so easily with the bucket. But looking down in here, hopefully you can see this. There's already quite a bit of water in there. Now, I should have gotten perforated pipes. These are 24-inch culvert pipes. Pretty substantial and strong things. But what I did is the first, I guess, 3 feet on the bottom, I drilled holes through all the way around, so there's plenty of space for the water to get in. I want to get the gravel all the way up past those holes to try to minimize how much dirt actually gets into the bottom of this. So that's what it looks like with 3 bucket loads of gravel in there. I climbed down in there and spread it around a little bit, made sure I got it around the backside too. Like I said, really only worried about that for those first couple feet to make sure that there's the gravel against where those holes are in the tube, instead of dirt that would eventually fill this thing up. The nice thing about these tubes being 2 feet tall, or 2 feet across, is I can actually fit down inside one of those. I got one set up over here. Initially the plan was to set up one of these and then have 2 tiles that ran along the footer this way and that way and around the corner where the other springs were. And while it does its job, it's just not pulling the water fast enough. And so I was still getting small amounts of water, nothing like flooding an entire basement, but that was coming through the basement floor in this corner and in that corner where the springs were. So before all this was done, I figured I had the backhoe anyways for other stuff. Let me just dig a couple more holes, sink a couple more of them, and both of these are at least 18 inches below the footer. So I'm hoping that that does enough to keep the water out of the basement. There is a sump pump in the basement. That's what this pipe that you see coming out here is. But I would prefer the water never get into the basement to get pumped out in the first place. So that's what I'm trying to do. The next step will be, once I get pumps into these two new stands, is to run a hard PVC under the ground. I'll feed this one into it as well. And then I think what I'm going to do is run them all to this corner here. And then I think I'm going to sink a 1,000-gallon cistern tank here. It's good spring water. Believe it or not, I've actually drank it. It tastes good. That's what I use to water my chickens and water my garden and everything else right now until they get the new well wired up and ready to go. But it is good water, and it'd be nice not to have to tax the well. Not that the well was putting out 25 gallons a minute when they drilled it, so that is plenty of water. But I have all this spring water. It'd be nice to be able to use it for animals, be able to use it for garden, water the grass or trees or whatever I need it for. So once it's gone, you can't give it back. So let's save some of it and see what we can use it for. I'm going to jump back on the tractor and get all this gravel into both of these holes, and then I'll show you what it looks like after that.
Okay, that's all the gravel I'm putting in this one. I kind of wish I had the backhoe still to push this around, but I made the most of the time, so I pushed it around as much as my back and shoulders want to, and that's, like I said, as long as I'm past those holes that I drilled in about 3 foot up, that should be more than fine. So this should be ready to backfill with some of this dirt. Yep, and then sometime this weekend I'll get a pump to put in here, and I'll show you how I set that up. Okay, I'm gonna call this one good for the day. Some of that mud is really mucky, so I'm gonna give that a couple days, and then I'll come back with the box grader on the back of the tractor and the front end loader and get this all smoothed out. But you can see got it all on the ground. There's a good 18 inches of water in the bottom of that thing already, so I will get the bottom of that cleaned out and get a pump in it, and once I have that the piping in the ground for that, I'll show you what that looks like. But yeah, messy job, a lot of work. It looks like I just threw a tube in the ground, but I think this should take care of the issues that I was having on these 2 corners of the basement. So thanks for watching.